Welcome back to the Fanboy Cantina. This video is about the Storm Shadow action figure from Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. The movie comes out on July 23rd of 2021. Now, this action figure I picked up from Amazon. This is not the G.I. Joe Classified line. This is a less expensive, more kid-friendly action figure line, still within the G.I. Joe brand. It was priced at $9.99, and it's still got this gibberish title on the Amazon listing. So this is the action figure as it arrived at my doorstep. We are going to open this thing up and we are going to compare it to G.I. Joe Classified. But I think the carded figure looks nice. If we turn it around, look at the back, we can see that there is a action feature to this action figure. Removing it from the bubble and you pull off that paper, we can now see off to the left hand side, in addition to the action figure and the bow, there is a quiver of arrows. I think there's a really nice look to this Storm Shadow action figure. I think it's giving me kind of an anime type of vibe. I don't know if it's just sort of the way they approach the design or the head itself, but I think it's a good looking action figure. It's certainly not as detailed as a G.I. Joe Classified action figure, but it's half the price. And so at being half the price, there are some sacrifices. Oh, look at this. There's these holes at the bottom of the feet, so perhaps that's necessary for the motorcycle accessory that's coming out. There's no ankle joint. There's some limited articulation in the legs. Moving further up, we can see the different types of plastic that they've used. So this tunic or robe or whatever that is, it has a softer plastic, and that allows for more posability for the action figure. Obviously, the rest of the figure is more solid. Some pretty good posability also in the arms. There is no wrist joint to the figure, but nonetheless, you can see the rotation of the lower arm, and obviously on the other arm as well. Looking at the head is a little bit stiff at first. You can turn it left and right. There's limited posability if you're going up and down. Turning the action figure around, it comes packaged with the two swords attached to the back. Those fit into a post, and you remember we had that quiver accessory. So we can take the quiver of arrows and attach it to the back of the Storm Shadow action figure. So if we look closely at that backpack, you'll notice there's a hole right there. So we can take the two swords, take that post, and stick it into the backpack. It's kind of a take on the V1, Storm Shadow action figure from the Real American Hero line, where he had the backpack of arrows along with the two swords. A little bit different take here, but a nice look to the action figure. So here is Storm Shadow with all of his accessories together, including the bow that fits in the hand. So let's take a look at that action feature to this action figure. If you twist the figure, it swings around and makes that kind of slashing motion or whatever you want it to be. So for $10 to have a action figure of the size and to have a play feature, that's pretty good. That's a pretty cool thing to have. Now, there are some peculiarities. If you look at the legs, this lower part of the leg seems to be unnaturally positioned, at least compared to the thigh, to the upper part of the leg. Nonetheless, the action figure holds a standing position without a stand very well. It's pretty good that way. I think this is a good looking action figure. The price is certainly right, certainly compared to G.I. Joe Classified. It is a different type of look to it. That anime description that I used, I think is appropriate. It's just maybe a little bit softer and certainly not as detailed as a G.I. Joe Classified action figure. But in its own right, I think it looks good. Some collectors might actually prefer this look compared to G.I. Joe Classified. I could see that. This Storm Shadow action figure has the Arashi Kage symbol on the front, so Storm Shadow is not a part of Cobra yet in this version of the action figure, or at least it doesn't look like it. Looking at the weapon accessories, here we see the bow and the two swords. The swords seem awfully short, and if you compare it to the Snake Eyes sword from G.I. Joe Classified, they look very short, and relative to the articulated Icon sword, which is probably a little too long, yeah, they're very small. So this is the question that I had about these action figures. How well does it work? How well do they work with G.I. Joe Classified? And I think they are generally in the ballpark, but they may be a little bit short. The Storm Shadow action figure is 6 inches tall, but with G.I. Joe Classified, heights vary. So the Snake Eyes, I think, is about 6¼ inches tall. Some of the other action figures are 6½, or in the case of Gung Ho, that action figure is 7 inches tall. So it seems a little bit short, maybe a little bit thinner compared to a G.I. Joe Classified action figure. Comparing it to articulated icons, those two I think are pretty comparable because you've got kind of a leaner cut on the articulated icon Ninja series. So post in the comments, what do you think? What do you think of the Storm Shadow action figure? Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins hits theaters on July 23rd of 2021. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Fanboy Cantina.